Well, to Europe now, where firefighters across the continent are struggling to contain wildfires that have burned thousands of hectares. Multiple heat waves have helped fuel flames across southern Europe this year. France and Spain have been hit the hardest. Now, thousands of homes have been destroyed, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to flee, although some of them have been allowed to return in recent days. Greece is also battling devastating wildfires amid severe drought. At least 3 firefighters have died while trying to contain the blazes. Thousands of people have been evacuated from the tourist island of Crete. France has already surpassed its previous record for the area burned, with more than 910 square kilometres destroyed this year alone. In Spain, the total burned area remains below previous years, but current trends suggest it could be heading for one of its worst wildfire seasons. Well, across the European Union, the total area burned has now exceeded last year's record. Wolfgang Cramer is an emeritus research professor with France's National Centre for Scientific Research. He joins us now from Marseille in France. Good to have you with us. Let's start, first of all, with another issue which has been building, I don't want to say burning in the background, the mortality rate from fires across Europe. How much of an issue is that becoming across the continent?
Well, thank you for having me. The situation that we have is, of course, one of extreme drought and extreme heat in all of the countries around the Mediterranean. And this heat alone, before there's any fire, is actually killing more people than the fires do. We have an excess mortality of several thousand deaths already this year in France alone, which are attributed to the heat and to the drought. And these are silent deaths in homes of elderly people and children, and we should not forget them when we look at the fires, which have also killed people and led to a large loss of properties and businesses. But they are more spectacular at the moment, and all the attention is going to them.
How much of what we're seeing in France, in Spain, in Greece can be directly linked to climate change?
Well, you should let us remember that in 1988, the United Nations asked the scientific community whether there was any enhanced risk of wildfire or any enhanced risk of anything associated with climate change. And in the early reports, in the first reports already from 1990, the IPCC then pointed out that there would be an increased risk of wildfires. This is now what we're seeing. That doesn't mean that any single fire in itself is attributable to climate change, but the numbers that you gave, the large increase of burnt area, the large losses, the large increase in the number of fires, they are exactly what we have been predicting and projecting for more than 35 years for the case of insufficient climate policies. And this is what we must remember as well, that governments around the world have not done what they have committed themselves to in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1992, which is to avoid dangerous climate change. So we have dangerous climate change and we have the predictable consequences.
Wolfgang, I'm wondering if you could explain to us the phenomenon known as whiplash, these cycles of extremely wet followed by extremely dry and drought periods, and how that it magnifies this problem of wildfires.
Well, essentially, if you have more energy in the atmosphere due to the enhanced heating caused by the greenhouse effect and caused by our greenhouse gas emissions, most extreme meteorological events will be enhanced in either strength or frequency, or they will occur out of their regular season. This is the case for droughts and heat waves, but also for major storms and floods and other such events. So this is a physical consequence of climate change, and it is therefore no surprise that in some areas you can have both. You can have enhanced droughts in some years and enhanced floods and heavy storms, tropical storms in other years.
Despite the predictions of extreme weather for a long time, Is there enough awareness? Has enough been done to train important stakeholders on how to confront this situation without sometimes making it worse? We hear all kinds of reports of good efforts, reportedly sometimes, having bad outcomes.
Yeah, we should remember that there are hundreds and thousands of firefighters out there who do a fantastic job and who are well prepared for it, and we should thank them by all means.
But Wolfgang, just to clarify, I mean beyond the fire, not the firefighters. I'm sure they're doing a good job, but the farmers and other people, citizens and people who get involved in trying to protect their property or land.
Yes, thanks for clarification. Yes, what we see in the biggest fire in France at the moment is that an area that has been previously, let's say 100, 150 years ago, had very mixed vegetation and has been rather wet actually in its soils, has been drained for enhanced forest production. And we have these monocultures of pines who are basically standing there on rather dry ground, and these pines are much more vulnerable to fire risks than the vegetation that before. And so we're actually not preparing ourselves in terms of our land use and our forest production for these kinds of risks.
For these kinds of situations. Thank you so much for coming in and giving us the benefit of your analysis. Wolfgang Cramer, Emeritus Research Professor with the National Centre for Scientific Research, joining us from Marseille in France. Thank you, sir.